welcome to the podcast for 2026. Look, we've been doing this podcast now for we're now going into our 7th year. At the Joinery Coach, we've been working with joinery businesses for a long time. We know a little bit about what's going on in the industry, and there's something that we really love to help businesses with more than we are right now. So look, I'm going to get a little bit real with you here in this podcast. A little bit hard hitting, a little bit, let's get to the point. As my daughter would say, I'm going to get real with you, Chief. There are things that we can do in this industry that we're just not doing right now. Here's just the hard, cold facts of the matter. You walk into any cabinet making or joinery business here in Australia, and you will see a lot of tradesmen walking around doing all kinds of tasks, some basic things, some advanced things. You'll see a lot of activity. You see a lot of people doing things with their hands. And that's the craftsmanship way of doing things. So here's the hard, cold reality of the manufacturing of product, in this case, joinery. Craftsmanship, if you're a cabinet maker, if you're a joiner and you've got a lot of skills, you probably consider yourself a craftsman, which is wonderful, it's great stuff. But craftsmanship was an era, it's not a strategy. It's not a strategy to run a business. And in 2026, we have all kinds of knowledge and skills at our fingertips to be able to take the craftsmanship stuff that you're doing right now and turn that into a wildly successful business. And what that's going to mean is we have to take on board manufacturing techniques. Now, in our industry, the biggest thing holding our industry back is the lack of taking on board manufacturing techniques, because we've stayed in the craftsmanship era for too long. So why is it that being a craftsman holds you back? If you're a cabinet maker or a joiner right now and you're listening to this podcast and you're hearing me say it's not about being a craftsman, you may be getting a little defensive right now. And that's okay, because you're probably a very good craftsman. You're probably very good at building cabinets and joinery and all that stuff that goes with it. I am too. But you may also be sitting in a business that's really struggling to make profit and really struggling to find good people and really struggling to get work out the door. So we can't in all good faith say that being a great craftsman automatically translate into a successful business. Here lies the problem in our industry. The transition from being a craftsman into a successful business means that you've got to learn a whole new set of skills. And that whole new set of skills essentially means we've got to bring in manufacturing techniques. So why is this hard for craftspeople? Well, because we were never taught how to do this. We were taught how to build cabinets and be great craftspeople. We were never taught how to be good businessmen. Our industry has traditionally had a high resistance to taking on manufacturing techniques because everybody kind of feels we're talking about cookie cutter stuff and, those box stuff. But in reality, a great manufacturing business that takes on craftsmen, protects the craftsmen, and lets them do the things that they do well, and gets everybody else at other skill levels to do the things that the craftsman was probably doing otherwise. So let's get real this year about what we really need to do in this industry to get things up to a level where efficiencies are acceptable, profits are acceptable, you're not making mistakes every single day, and the business is actually not struggling and feeling like a weight on your shoulders. So come on a journey with me during this podcast and let's explore how manufacturing while you're a craftsman actually is the way forward in business and how we can dial that up in 2026. Alrighty, so you're probably wondering, what are we doing out here in the barn? So I just thought I'd get a little bit of a different perspective, and that's what you need to do in your business. You need to get a bit of a different angle, a different perspective on things. Look, we've worked with literally hundreds and hundreds of joinery and cabinet making businesses over the last 20 years. And some of them do really well and some of them don't. Some of them just don't take on board the techniques and the methods and change habits and they go back to their old ways. And I get it, it's really, really hard changing habits and changing old ways, particularly if you've been doing things the same way for a long time. We understand the struggle, but the reality is if you're struggling in business, you've got to make some changes somehow. And this industry as a whole is underperforming as an industry. When we benchmark the cabinet making joinery industry against other manufacturers, our efficiency rates are very, very low. Our defect rates are very, very high. Our churn of people is very, very high. So all the benchmarks against manufacturing compared to other industries, we're really, really lagging behind. So what do we do about this? As a coaching business that has the tools and the solutions for all of this, we really want to be able to make a difference in the industry. And so we kind of feel like in many ways we've got a little bag of gold and all we really want to do is get you to reach your hand in and take the gold out. Sometimes that's a bit of a struggle because a lot of people are stuck in old ways of doing things. So the first real way is to realize that there's a better way of doing things. If you're struggling with profit, if you're struggling with people, if you're struggling with any of those traditional things in business that you as a great craftsman may be struggling with, there is a better way of doing things. Okay, so what's the purpose of this podcast? Well, the purpose really is we're kicking off 2026 with a new direction and a slightly new, a bit more of an edge in what we're trying to do, because we want to be able to help you individually as business owners, but the industry as a whole, move things forward into an area that we know will be way more successful for us as an industry. And there are a number of basic fundamentals that need to be in place for that to happen. It all centers around people and systems and how people know how to use the systems. So here's some of the backgrounds of all of this and what we know doesn't work. We know that we're in a world of instant gratification. You know, you buy this, you scroll, you get this instant fix. And we know that that's hurting us right now. It's hurting the whole world right now. So the industry itself has gone through that era of buy this, it'll fix your problems. So we can look around and see any cabinet shop right now has a really beautiful CNC machine or wonderful software, but yet they're still struggling with the basics in business, and the success of a business. So we can't really say that buying these objects is going to fix your business. It does come down to the hard stuff. It comes down to you, your knowledge, and your team's ability to know how to use those fancy tools. The best investment that you can make is in people and people's abilities. Because when you invest in people, you raise the capability of the business. So if you're watching this podcast up until this point, you might be wondering, where is Bruce going with this? And why is he sitting outside? What we're doing is we're demonstrating that sometimes in business, you need to change things up. We've been doing this podcast for 6 years. This is going into our 7th season now. We started this podcast with the goal to help the industry and help people in the industry. And I'm very, very proud to say we've achieved that because we get such great feedback from our podcast listeners. But for us, it still isn't good enough. It still isn't good enough to make a big difference in the industry. And so we're changing things up, and we're going to get just a little bit more hard hitting this year, a little bit more to the point with what needs to happen in this industry, including bringing on way more guests to demonstrate to you. If I'm just sitting here telling you how to run your business better, you probably want some evidence to see someone actually doing that. Well, I'm happy to tell you, we've literally got hundreds of clients at the Joinery Coach that do take on this advice and this coaching and this mentoring and apply it in their business and have exceptional results. And we're going to be bringing way more of those guests on board into the podcast. The fact of the matter is, you probably started a business to have a better lifestyle of some kind. Maybe you want more time with your kids, maybe you want more money, more holidays, but the point of the business is not to have the business take your life away from you. Broadly, not only just here in Australia and New Zealand, but right around the world, we still see far too many people in the joinery industry that are having, their lives really taken away from them after 5 or 10 years because they just haven't made a successful business. Probably still very good craftsmen, great cabinet makers, but struggling in business. And it's a tragedy, and it's something that hits really close to home for me because I did the same thing myself for too many years. And we really, really want to make a difference to people's lives. So the podcast this year is going to be different, a little bit more hard hitting and a lot more to the point. But we're also going to make more encouragements to reach out and get help. And of course, at the Joinery Coach, we're always happy to have a conversation about how you can take on more things. We've also this year started what we call our Joinery Business Academy, where you can jump on if you don't want any coaching, if you don't want any mentoring, and you just want to try and do it yourself. The Joinery Business Academy is a new element from the Joinery Coach where you can just go on and buy some courses and try and do some things yourself. So we're giving away so much information for you to take your business up to that next level. So hopefully you'll enjoy this year. Our goal by the end of 2026 is we've made a massive difference in the industry, and we would love it if this is making sense to you and helping you in any way. We'd love it if you jump on our YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. That's going to broaden our reach. And send us a message. Tell us what you think about all of this. Let us know what you're thinking. So for now, it's Bruce from the Joinery Coach signing off, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our next episode here on the podcast from 2026.